Hi everyone, merhaba arkadaşlar. Welcome back to the Learn Turkish the Easy Way channel. This is the first grammar lesson that we'll be teaching today. And apart from the other session, of course, we will continue grammar sessions in the future. But before we continue with today's class, I highly encourage you to subscribe to this channel if you want to learn Turkish with a more interactive and high quality way. I would also appreciate your likes under the videos. Make sure also to comment if you have any kind of comments and or requests about the further videos that you want to see in the further classes. It might be any topics about Turkish language, Turkish grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary. So basically, don't be shy to comment under the videos for the purposes of letting me know which topics you want to be covered in the future. So, what is our lesson for today? Today we will cover simple present tense in Turkish language, and this will be in the following 2-3 weeks. We will be basically covering the tenses, the verb tenses. It's because there are a couple of things that we have to know about the verbs, right? Known tenses. So we will be in the next grammar lessons, including the class on Saturday. We will be covering tenses first, verb tenses, and then we'll probably go with other topics that are more or less kind of complex or less important based on the use. I assume that the verbs are among the most important structures in grammar, so it is essential to learn probably the tenses first, and then we will go with other topics. Just to repeat about our live sessions. Our live grammar lessons are usually held on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday nights. So depending on the day, it might be 6 p.m. Istanbul time, it might be 7 p.m. Istanbul time, but I usually put the announcement a couple of hours before the live session in my channel. So if you want to learn when exactly on those days, at what time on those days we will be live, please check the post that I put in my channel. So basically, our grammar lesson days are Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So let's go with our class then. What we'll be covering today, it's basically simple present tense, right? But before we really start with our simple present tense, I really want to cover all possible tenses and kind of modes that we will be covering over the next 2-3 weeks. So today we start with the simple present tense, and that's just one tense out of 5 possible tenses in Turkish language. We also have present continuous, simple past tense, reported past tense, and future tense that we will cover as a tense. Apart from these tenses, we also have 4 moods, which are necessitative mood, conditional mood, optative mood, and imperative mood. All these 9 will be covered in the future 9 grammar lessons, and then we will go with the other topics like adjectives, nouns, and so on. So today we will start with the simple present tense, and on Saturday we will cover present continuous tense. Okay, so let me update and open our next slide, which will be basically what the present tense itself. The present tense grammar part. But before we go with the present tense itself, let me note that in Turkish grammar, all the verbs, as a rule, in the infinitive form, in its infinitive or mastar form, all verbs end either in mak or mek. Okay. So, for example, you can see examples here: yapmak, sevmek, kalmak, bilmek, olmak, ölmek. So as you see, these verbs all end in mak or mek. There is no other version. Okay, there is only 2 possible infinitive endings, and those tenses that you saw in the previous slide. Okay, all of them are usually made by throwing away this mak or mek ending. So all tenses, whether it's future tense or it's past tense, present tense, or anything else, are usually constructed without this ending. So we first always have to throw away this mak or mek ending, and then use only the root of the verb. Okay, so if you want to know what's the root of the verb, you just have to throw away mak or mek, and that will be the root of the verb. Okay, same for the present tense, of course. In the present tense that we will be learning today, you will always have to throw away the mak, mek before you add any tense endings, or before you do anything negative or interrogative. So let's go and start to look at what is the affirmative form of, or the positive, right, without any negation. What is the affirmative form of present tense in Turkish language? Now, this is basically the affirmative or the positive form of the verb, present tense verb in Turkish language. And you basically have, in Turkish language, we have 6 possible endings, tense endings, present tense endings that you can add to the root of the verb, okay, without mak, mek. So how do you construct it? First of all, you have to throw away mak, mek. You already see the rule written on the screen, right? You have to throw away mak, mek. For example, for yapmak, you throw away mak and it becomes yap. So the root of the verb will be yap. For sevmek, if you throw away mek, the root of the verb will be sev. So that's the first thing. If you throw away mak or mek, then you add one of the 6 possible present tense endings, ar, er, ir, ür, ur, or ür. And then you add the personal ending to make it according to the person, okay, whether it's singular or plural, or it's I, you, he, she, it, or whatever. Now, I immediately understand, I probably feel that you have a question, how do we know which ending we add, right? Ar, er, ir, ur, ür, which one of these do we add? Now, don't think about this for now, because that's all about practice. It's about the practice. It's a matter of time, and the more you read, the more you kind of explore Turkish language, the more you will by yourself understand which one is really or which verbs get which ending. So don't think about that for now, because it is the same as in English when you learn irregular verbs, right? You don't know exactly how do you have to change that. For example, sing. How do you really change and make the verb sing irregular in English, right? That's the same in Turkish. So you don't have to memorize this. Over time, the more you read, the more you deal with the Turkish verbs, the more you will understand which one is really coming, whether it's ar, er, ir, ur, or ür. But here on the screen, you have 6 possible cases. I deliberately chose 6 possible verbs that have all these 6 endings, okay, present tense endings. Yaparım, severim, kalırım, bilirim, olurum, ölürüm. So look at this kind of art. So basically, what do we do? We throw away mak, mek, then we add one of these endings, and then we add the personal ending. Okay. So let's look at the first singular person. Ben, right? I. Yaparım, severim, kalırım, bilirim, olurum, ölürüm. I will go together with you to pronounce it, okay, so that you also know the pronunciation. Second singular person, as you see, yaparsın, seversin, kalırsın, bilirsin, olursun, and ölürsün. Okay. Then we go with the third person, and that is what? O, which means he, she, or it, right, at the same time. So o yapar, sever, kalır, bilir, olur, ölür. Now, pay attention to the fact that third person singular is very important in Turkish language. As a structure in many places, you will see that third person singular is the base for many other kind of expansions. For example, you see here, third person singular is the shortest version, right? It's the shortest, and it's also the base for all other pronouns, you see. So in this is mostly you will be seeing this the shortest version, and also as a base for many other pronouns, whether it's singular or plural. So what about first plural? Biz, yaparız, severiz, kalırız, biliriz, oluruz, and ölürüz. For second plural, which is formal or plural, right? Siz yaparsınız, seversiniz, kalırsınız, bilirsiniz, olursunuz, and ölürsünüz. And for the third plural, it will be yaparlar, onlar yaparlar, severler, kalırlar, bilirler, olurlar, or ölürler. And by the way, I put the lar plural endings in parentheses because in Turkish you can still omit them if you already know from the context, right? And it's really quite common to say onlar yapar, not yaparlar, but onlar yapar. It's quite common. There is no kind of a big issue with that. There is no problem with that. So you can still use the first singular as same with the plural version, okay? Onlar gider, onlar sever, and so on. So whether you use severler or sever, yaparlar or yapar doesn't make very much difference unless you have to specifically specify that it's plural, okay? Sometimes you really when there is no pronoun, when the context doesn't let you know whether it is singular or plural, you have to specify the ending then and say yaparlar, okay? Other than that, it's not a big difference whether you use yapar or yaparlar if the context already tells you that it's plural or not. Okay, so this is affirmative, okay, positive. When we have a normal, when we say I usually go, right, I usually do, yaparım, severim, kalırım. And again, this is all possible 6 endings, okay? I chose specifically 6 possible verbs that have this kind of endings, and you see this all in one picture. Let's now go and look at the negative. How do we do negative in present tense? Negative, first look at the rule. What is the rule? The rule here is that we first again have to throw away mak or mek. That's by default. Then we have to add ma or me, which makes it negative. Okay, ma or me, as a rule, makes the verb negative. So basically, you add ma or me, and then the personal ending. Okay, so let's go with the first singular. Ben yapmam, sevmem, kalmam, bilmem, olmam, ölmem. Second singular, yapmazsın, sevmezsin, kalmazsın, bilmezsin, olmazsın, ölmezsin. Third singular, again, you see it's the base, very short, the shortest version, and also somehow it's the base for the others, a couple of others. O, yapmaz, sevmez, kalmaz, bilmez, olmaz, and ölmez. First plural, yapmayız, sevmeyiz, kalmayız, bilmeyiz, olmayız, and ölmeyiz. Second plural, siz yapmazsınız, sevmezsiniz, kalmazsınız, bilmezsiniz, olmazsınız, and ölmezsiniz. And last, third person plural, onlar yapmazlar, sevmezler, kalmazlar, bilmezler, olmazlar, and ölmezler. Again, you will not see any other possible endings because this is the all possible ways, all possible cases included in this lesson, okay? You will see one of this. There is no other alternative, and I deliberately again chose 6 verbs that have all possible cases. Okay, let's go now and look at the interrogative, how we ask question in present tense. Okay, let me open that file too. So in interrogative, what is the rule? Again, throw away mak or mek of the verb, right? Leave the root, get the root of the verb. Then, again ar, er, ir, ur, which is by default, you see, which is just one, you see, the initial form, and that's also the third person singular form. Remember the base, the third person singular, you see that's exactly that one, yapar, okay? Yapar, then you add the question mı, mi, mu, mü, one of those four possible cases, and then the person ending. Now pay attention to the fact that in Turkish language, this auxiliary question words like mıyım, mı, mısın, miyiz, they are always written separately, okay? That's a rule. That's a rule. You have always to write them separately. And for the first, let's go with the first person singular. Yapar mıyım? Sever miyim? Kalır mıyım? Bilir miyim? Olur muyum? Or ölür müyüm? For the second singular, sen yapar mısın? Sever misin? Kalır mısın? Bilir misin? Olur musun? Ölür müsün? Third singular, o yapar mı? Sever mi? Kalır mı? Bilir mi? Olur mu? Ölür mü? First plural, yapar mıyız? Sever miyiz? Kalır mıyız? Bilir miyiz? Olur muyuz? And ölür müyüz? Second plural, yapar mısınız? Sever misiniz? Kalır mısınız? Bilir misiniz? Olur musunuz? And ölür müsünüz? And lastly, plural, third person plural, onlar yaparlar mı? Severler mi? Kalırlar mı? Bilirler mi? Olurlar mı? And ölürler mi? That is basically the interrogative, how we make interrogative, okay? So the root, then whatever the relevant ending, tense ending for that specific word, it might be ar, er, ir, ur. Then the question, whether it's mı, mi, mu, mü, separate from the root, right, from the verb, and then the personal ending attached to that question word. That is interrogative. And last is negative interrogative. How we ask negative interrogative. That's the last rule. Let's look at that. Here it's a bit simpler. Same whatever we have for the interrogative, just interrogative, but now it has yapmaz. In the previous one it was yapar mıyım. Here it is yapmaz mıyım. Sever miyim, sevmez miyim. Okay. Kalır mıyım, kalmaz mıyım. So that's how it goes. So first person, let's go with the first person first. Ben yapmaz mıyım, sevmez miyim, kalmaz mıyım, bilmez miyim, olmaz mıyım, ölmez miyim. Second singular, sen yapmaz mısın, sevmez misin, kalmaz mısın, bilmez misin, olmaz mısın, and ölmez misin. Okay. The third person singular, yapmaz mı, sevmez mi, kalmaz mı, bilmez mi, olmaz mı, and ölmez mi. First person plural, biz yapmaz mıyız, sevmez miyiz, kalmaz mıyız, bilmez miyiz, olmaz mıyız, and ölmez miyiz. For second plural is yapmaz mısınız, right? Sevmez misiniz, kalmaz mısınız, bilmez misiniz, olmaz mısınız, and ölmez misiniz. And last for the plural, third person plural, onlar yapmazlar mı, sevmezler mi, kalmazlar mı, bilmezler mi, olmazlar mı, and ölmezler mi. So that's basically how we do 4 possible versions, right? For the present tense, of course, for each tense we have this, right? Affirmative, negative, interrogative, and negative interrogative. And probably one of the complex ones is this present tense, because we have many endings here, right? Ar, er, ir, and ur. You really have to kind of over time to grasp this idea which one is which. But again, don't think about that very much. The more you read, especially reading helps, okay? Reading helps. The more you kind of come across these verbs in the present tense, the more you kind of, your brain will memorize it by itself without your extra labor. So that's one of the things that you have to do probably. Read more. Read in order to get understanding of which verbs get which ending. Now, before we conclude this kind of a grammar part, I also have to have two notes, okay, two notes for present tense usage. And the first one is what? In Turkish, it's a common practice to use present continuous tense for the purposes to mean, or for the purposes of simple present tense, okay? So when you say in English, I love you, using present tense, in Turkish you usually don't say seni severim, even if the present tense is really seni severim. We usually say seni seviyorum, okay? So we replace present tense with present continuous tense form. So it's quite normal, okay? And that's why in some of the videos that I make, I just simply translate it as and put the present continuous tense, even if I translate into English as the present tense, because that's a very common practice, and it's not only spoken language. In spoken language, in the written language, you also use this one. So you will basically say, I love you, seni seviyorum, not severim. Or bunu biliyorum, I know this. Bunu biliyorum, not bilirim. Now, can you not, for example, not say seni severim? Yes, you can also say seni severim, but the purpose and context is different then. Okay. For example, you may want to leave a specific person after a long time, and you say, you know what, seni severim, which means I love you in general, right? In general, you are a person that I love. Okay, seni severim, but I have to leave. Ama gitmem lazım. Okay, so present tense severim, seni severim is used, but not that often. Okay, it has a specific context, it has a specific place where you would say seni severim. So in general, when we really want to mean present tense, we still can use present continuous tense in Turkish language. Okay, that's one thing to remember. And whenever you see these translations in Turkish language where the translation is a present tense in English, but in Turkish it's present continuous, that's exactly why it is. Okay, that's just one common practice to use present continuous instead of present tense, even if the meaning in English is present, very general meaning. Okay. And you probably also remember the advertisement, right, by McDonald's, by where they say I'm loving it, right? I'm loving it. So I'm loving it is actually the translation of Turkish, whereas you say seni seviyorum. But in English you don't say it, right? When you say I love you in general, it means you basically you don't say I'm loving you. You say I love you in general. In Turkish though, you basically say it in present continuous tense. There are many other instances, okay? Bunu biliyorum, or hatırlıyorum, I remember. Okay, you would not say I remember. In Turkish you would say I'm remembering. Okay, hatırlıyorum, right? I remember it. So there are many other instances where you will use present continuous tense instead of simple present tense to mean. Okay, to mean present tense. And the second note that I have to say is that simple present tense is also used to mean what is known as second conditional in English language. The would structure, okay? Look at the examples below. Senin için bunu yaparım. I will do it for you. Okay? Senle oraya gitmem. I will not go there with you. So this is basically another way of using conditional. Or you can use, for example, beni seversen seni severim. If you love me, I would love you too. Okay? So basically, probably you will see this. Hello Fabiola, welcome. So and probably you will see this much often than the use of even present tense itself, because present tense is very little used for the purpose of really saying something in general. Okay. in Turkish language, we very much extensively use present continuous tense to mean present tense. And therefore, present tense itself becomes obsolete. Okay? Obsolete, therefore, it's mostly used to mean even conditional, okay? Second conditional rather than the present tense itself. For example, you can ask, bunu benim için yapar mısın? Will you do it for me? Okay? Or you can also call the person, bakar mısınız, in a restaurant, for example. Okay? In a restaurant, when you call the waiter, you would say, bakar mısınız? This is the interrogative question, right? Interrogative present tense question. Bakar mısınız? This means, would you please look at me? Would you please approach me? Okay, that doesn't mean present tense in general. So it's just a request. Would you please look at me? Or, for example, you can say, susar mısın lütfen? Would you please calm down? Would you please be silent? Okay, susar mısın lütfen? Would you please? You see, it's not present tense at all, right? It's completely different meaning. So the present tense itself in Turkish is very obsolete. It's not very useful in terms of meaning, the broad meaning of what we really use it for in English. But of course, it doesn't mean we don't use it. For example, you can still say, I usually get up at 7 in the morning, right? Genelde sabahları saat 7'de kalkarım. Kalkarım, you see, we use present tense here. Or okula 8'de giderim. I go to school at 8, okay, in general. So you see, present tense is useful, it is used, but not as extensively as in English. Even in that case, you can still replace it, okay? You can still replace present tense with the present continuous, and nobody will blame you for that. Nobody will say why you say saat 7'de kalkıyorum instead of kalkarım. But again, of course, it has its place, it has its own usage, don't forget it. But the second possible very broad meaning and usage of present tense is second conditional, okay? Would, that's very extensively used too. So that's another note, second note, before all of the grammar things that I want to explain comes to an end. So this is basically present tense, and if you have any questions, you can ask now. I will go with a couple of examples to kind of show on our work pad. Okay, this is our work pad. So how we say, for example, okay, let me write first in get up at 7 in the morning. Sabahları basically means in the mornings. Okay. Okay, let's make every morning. Okay, every morning. Her sabah saat 7'de kalkarım. Okay, that's the present tense, affirmative. Okay, I usually get up. So her sabah genelde. Okay, we forgot usually. Genelde. Her sabah genelde saat 7'de kalkarım. Okay, that's in the one example. What about negative? Okay. Patlıcan sevmem. I don't like or love. Okay. So that's how you say what? I don't like eggplants. In Turkish, when you say fruits, when you name fruits and vegetables, of course, in English they can be translated as plural, but in Turkish it's enough to say singular. Okay, patlıcan sevmem means I don't like eggplants in general. You don't have to make it patlıcanları. Okay, patlıcanlar sevmem. You don't make it plural that way. I don't like eggplants. Patlıcan sevmem. What about interrogative? Dondurma sever misiniz? Okay. What will be that? Dondurma sever misiniz? Do you love ice cream? Right? Ice cream. Interrogative. Do you love ice cream? Dondurma sever misiniz? Question mark, and again it says should be separate, right? It should always be separate. Do you love ice cream? Dondurma sever misiniz? And then let's make it negative, okay? Kahve sevmez misiniz? Sevmez mi? Okay, let's talk about third person. Okay, sevmez mi? Kahve sevmez mi? Okay, doesn't he or she love or like, right? Like coffee. Coffee. You see, affirmative. First example is affirmative. Second example is negative. I don't like eggplants. Patlıcan sevmem. Third is interrogative. Dondurma sever misiniz? Do you love ice cream? Of course, here you here is plural, okay, or respectful. And doesn't he she love like coffee? Kahve sevmez mi? That's the negative interrogative. Let me look at. Okay. Yeah, I'm writing examples. Those examples, Fabiola, don't you see them? So Viju says, so basically gidiyorum and giderim have the same meaning. Well, no. For example, look about the context. That's what I say. When you say giderim or gidiyorum, for example, gidiyorum means I'm going, right? But in different contexts, they will mean different things. For example, when you talk about I usually get up at 7 in the morning, right? For example, you can say her sabah genelde saat 7'de kalkıyorum. Kalkarım and kalkıyorum here can be used interchangeably, yes. People will understand you, okay? But if you talk with your friend, sitting and drinking coffee in cafeteria, okay? And if you say bak giderim means it's a threat, okay? It's a threat. I will go now. If you do something else, if you say something else, I will go. Giderim. Okay, that's a second conditional meaning. But if you say gidiyorum, it means I'm going. So I'm leaving. Okay, I'm leaving. I have some places to go. Ben gidiyorum. So it means now I'm going somewhere else. But if you say giderim, that means second conditional. But you see the context is very clear. Context is where, for example, you sit with your friend and drink coffee, tea together, and suddenly you say gidiyorum. Gidiyorum here means I'm going, I'm leaving, okay? But if you say you are talking and that person makes you angry, and you suddenly threat him saying bak giderim, okay, that is different meaning. You say so. But when talk about her sabah genelde saat 7'de kalkarım or kalkıyorum, people will understand it in the same way. Okay, the meaning will be same, but in different contexts it might be different things. Okay, so. It depends where it will be second conditional, would, or really present tense as kalkıyorum or kalkarım. Okay, so that depends on the context, definitely on the context. So you have to be careful about where to say really giderim or gidiyorum. The context might differ. So let me think about other examples where it might be more clear for you. Maybe you can think of also about examples where that you want to be clarified. But let me give more examples, okay? Benle gelir misin? Benle gelir misin means would you come with me? Okay? Benle gelir misin? Now, look, the context matters here, okay? So, benle gelir misin means would you come with me? Benle gelir misin? Of course, if you offer somebody, this is an offer, right? Would you come with me if I do something? Would you come with me to United States, for example? Would you come with me to another country, right? That is an offer here. It is the would here. But if somebody sitting around the table suddenly gets up and goes to the toilet, okay? That is another offer, okay? It's again kind of, could you please come for a while with me? Okay? Would you come with me? Could you please come with me? I have a word, something to tell you. Okay, I have something to tell you. Okay, so you see, gelir misin here we don't use this gelir misin here for the present tense meaning. It basically is a request. It's a would term, okay? But if you say, for example, buraya her sabah gelir misin? This means what now? Do you come here every morning? Okay? Buraya her sabah gelir misin? Do you come here every morning? Benle gelir misin? That is a request. That's a would you come with me? Okay? Benle gelir misin lütfen? For example, lütfen. If you add this one, okay? Benle gelir misin lütfen? Would you come with me, please? So you see, it's the context. It's most of the context. Let me just get rid of this. Okay. Buraya her sabah gelir misin? What about other things? Other examples. Okula gitmeyi sevmem. Gitmeyi sevmem. Okay. I don't like going to school. Or you can simply say okulu sevmem. Okay. I don't like school. Okay. You can also say bundan sonra, from now on, bundan sonra okula gitmem. I will not or won't. Okay, I will not go to school from now on. Okay, bundan sonra okula gitmem. I will not go to school from now on. Or I won't go to school from now on. Wa alaikum salam, Safi. Welcome. You are, I think, one of the newest members. I haven't seen you before, so welcome. I already know some members that are. Fabiola is one of them. Bijou is another person I know already. So you are, I think, a new subscriber. So welcome. So let's give a couple more examples. Okay. Seni sonsuza dek severim. This, you see, you don't say seviyorum. I will love you until infinite, okay? Kind of forever. Sonsuza dek severim. So I would love you forever. Seni sonsuza dek severim. I would love you forever. Okay, a couple of more examples. The general present tense meaning. Okay. Okula her gün gitmez misin? Which means what? Don't you go to school every day? Okula her gün gitmez misin? Don't you go to school every day? Every day. Okula her gün gitmez misin? Now, in this context, you see, I can replace it easily with what? Okula her gün gitmiyor musun? In this context, it's okay to interchangeably use them, okay? Okula her gün gitmiyor musun? Her gün okula gitmiyor musun? Or gitmez misin? Okay, don't you go to school every day? Bunu benim için yapar mısın? Would you do it for me? Let's make it please too. Okay. Bunu benim için yapar mısın lütfen? Bunu benim için yapar mısın lütfen? Would you do it for me please? You see, so I'm trying to mix examples to make it both second conditional and the general meaning, the present tense use. Okay, so this one is present second conditional. Would you do it for me? It's like where we use as a request. Okay, so what else? Okay. Eve her gün 8'de gelirim. It means I come home at 8 every day. I come home at 8 every day. This is basic present tense use, very normal present tense use. Eve her gün 8'de gelirim. I come home at every day. So at 8 every day. And then you say, first I do my homework. Okay. Önce ödevimi yaparım. This is accusative case of course. Ödevim is my homework. Ödevimi accusative case. Önce ödevimi yaparım. I do my homework first. Sonra yemek yerim. Okay. Then I have dinner. Okay. I have dinner or I dine, whatever. I have dinner. Then I have dinner. Sonra yemek yerim. Daha sonra, and then, right? Daha sonra, sonra or daha sonra. It's kind of adding more meaning to sonra, right? And then daha sonra televizyon or okay, televizyon izlerim. And then I watch TV. Okay, are we good with examples? Everything is clear? Okay, daha sonra televizyon izlerim. Saat 10'da uyurum. I sleep at 10. Okay, at 10 or at 10 I sleep. Because that's kind of a different saying, because you stress the words differently. So at 10 I sleep. Okay, saat 10'da uyurum. That's it. So we have so many examples here. Okay, don't forget we can use present tense for two purposes. Really to mean present tense, like in English I usually go to school at 8, I usually get up at 5, whatever. And also you can use present tense for second conditional, would. Okay, to say would or will. Would, I would do it, I would not do it, I would never do it, I would always do it. So that's when you use also the present tense. Okay, any questions before I finish? That's it for today about the present tense. In order to know again the more verbs, of course you have to read more, and that's one of the best practices to learn the kind of r, ir, or ur endings, to know which one you get for the present tense verbs. But that's basically something you will learn over time. So if no other questions, we will continue with the present continuous next time. On Saturday evening we will go with the present continuous, which is your, right? The only ending that's easier because we have only one ending, your. We don't have multiple endings, just one ending, your. That's it. So it should be simple. It should be also very intuitive because of the meaning, which is very similar to English meaning in terms of uses. So if no other questions, I'll see you then on Saturday. Don't forget to subscribe if you are still not a subscriber. I really appreciate your comments. I appreciate your thumbs up. the likes under the videos. And if you have any requests, please place them under the videos for me to know which topics you want to be covered in the further live sessions. Okay? Enjoy your day. İnşallah cumartesi görüşmek üzere arkadaşlar. Cumartesi görüşürüz. Herkese selamlar.